Were he still alive today, Jame Dean would be 91 years old. But as fate would have it, he perished on a beautiful stretch of highway in California in a violent car crash at the age of 24, leaving behind a legacy that endures even to this day. Jame Dean appeared in only 3 motion pictures, and only one, East of Eden, had been released at the time of his death. It is rare for an actor to make such an impact on society in such a short amount of time, but perhaps it can be attributed to the fact that he gave validation to the overlooked youth in society, showing them that it was all right to feel the way they felt and to be who they were. The vulnerability that he portrayed on screen as a man had not been seen before, which endeared him to a generation. Today, we are taking a road trip past the place where Jame Dean died nearly 67 years ago, on September 30th, 1955. As a huge fan of Jame Dean, I have been here many times before, and this road is always beautiful and always haunting. Our account of the events of Jame Dean's last day will be taken from his biography, The Mutant King, by author David Dalton, published in 1974, which we will link to in the description below. Dalton states that his timeline from Jame Dean's last day was taken from eyewitness reports, newspaper stories, and recollections from people who were with Jame Dean on this day. Many biographies and accounts of Jame Dean's last day have since been published and claim to have different information. Jame Dean had a big race planned in Salinas, California on October 1st and October 2nd. The day before he died, on September 29th, 1955, he and his friend Bill Hickman left for Salinas around 6:00 p.m. He had spent the day preparing his new Porsche Spyder for the race, having his number 130 painted on the car and a nickname, Little Bastard, on the back. The plan was to tow the car to the race, but since the car needed 1,500 miles to be in optimal racing condition, Jame Dean decided to drive the car up the coast. When they reached Santa Barbara, the fog rolling in was so thick they had to turn back. The following day, on September 30th, Jame Dean left his home in Sherman Oaks and arrived at Competition Motors on Vine Street in Hollywood at approximately 8:00 a.m. His mechanic, Rolf Wutherich, was going to do a final tune-up on the car to prepare it for racing. Competition Motors no longer exists, but stood here on this site in 1955. According to biographer David Dalton, Jame Dean's father and uncle, Winton and Charlie Dean, stopped by to say goodbye, and all 4 men, including Rolf Wutherich, went to have lunch together at the original farmers market on Fairfax. More recent accounts say they grabbed a donut across the street from Competition Motors at the Hollywood Ranch Market, which no longer exists. Wherever they ate lunch, they left around 1:30 p.m. to pick up photographers Sandy Roth and Bill Hickman, and at some point Jame Dean decided to drive the car rather than tow it behind his 1955 Ford Esquire station wagon. Bill Hickman drove the station wagon, towing the empty trailer, and Jame Dean and Rolf Wutherich headed off in the Spyder. They took the Ridge route, which is now Interstate 5, to Highway 99 through Bakersfield. Jame Dean was pulled over by the Highway Patrol in Mettler on Highway 99 and given a speeding ticket for going 65 miles per hour in a 55 mile per hour zone. The plan was to meet in Paso Robles for dinner, and they took California State Route 466, now Route 46, and headed west. If you drive Route 46 today, you will pass several small communities, plenty of farmland, and an occasional gas station. In 1955, I imagine this area was pretty desolate, but they found a refreshment stand and gas station at the intersection of Route 466 and Route 33. Jame Dean stopped here and spoke with some other racers who were on their way to Salinas as well. He bought a bag of apples, and they were back on the road. It is 34 miles from Blackwell's Corner to the Jame Dean Memorial Junction where Jame Dean lost his life. This stretch of highway is lovely, and it rises and falls over low hills that are green in the winter and light brown in the summer. I like to imagine that the last 30 minutes of his life were wonderful, driving his new sports car on this beautiful scenic highway with the warm breeze in his hair. Sit back, relax, and take that ride with us. Here, you are looking west on Route 46 toward the intersection with Route 41. Donald Turnipseed, a 23-year-old Cal Poly San Luis Obispo student, was traveling east on Route 46, preparing to cross the roadway and go north on Route 41 toward Fresno. In the fading light, he did not see the low-slung spider until it was too late. The two cars collided nearly head-on, and James Dean was killed almost instantly. A makeshift memorial exists on the barbed wire fence near the crash site, where hundreds of items have been left by visitors from all over the world, including a wreath of flowers that were placed for what would have been his 91st birthday on February 8th. Less than a mile west from here is a more formal memorial, placed by James Dean fan and Japanese businessman Seita Onishi, who traveled to America to erect the monument. The memorial, made of polished stainless steel, is said to reflect the site of the accident. There are plaques along the bottom of the memorial denoting James Dean's birth date and quotes attributed to him, but one plaque carries one of James Dean's favorite passages from The Little Prince, a book by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. It reads, "What is essential is invisible to the eye." James Dean had planned to have dinner later that evening in Paso Robles before continuing on to Salinas. His body was taken by ambulance to the Paso Robles War Memorial Hospital, 28 miles away, where he was pronounced dead. This hospital no longer exists. If you come across this video and you don't know who James Dean was, I encourage you to watch all 3 of his movies, East of Eden, Rebel Without a Cause, and Giant. All 3 are excellent examples of his incredible talent.
My welcome in, babe.
Fine.
Thank you for joining us today. We truly appreciate your support.
Everybody thought I had a duster? Y'all thought old Spindle Top Mo Burnett was all it was, didn't you? Well, I'm here to tell you it ain't, boy. It's here. And there ain't a dang thing you gonna do about it.
Well, that's something I'm gonna try to fix. Someday I will.